people are there. Should we wait 2 more minutes or it's okay? Okay, I believe it's good to start. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Raja. I'm the solution architect in one of the manufacturing companies in Middle East, Dubai. And today, as per many requests that we received recently, across the globe, so we are very happy to conduct our first event on a very niche topic that is runtime fabric within this region. So we had initially thoughts about choosing the topic. So why we gave the priority on this topic. We also often see people, including myself, and based on the request, people are asking for the option that possibly build a mule application that can we can easily pick, pack, ship, and run application replicas as a lightweight, portable, self-sufficient container, perhaps using Docker or Kubernetes, which can run virtually anywhere. Maybe your private cloud, AWS or Azure, or your own data center, and to utilize the same resource across these replicas, causing high availability against any application failovers. So that's about the brief reasons, in terms of deployment, in terms of using multiple replicas, that have to have a high availability of the new applications. That's why we thought to have this topic very important, and we gave priority on this. So that's about the choosing the topic. So without much delay, I'd like to introduce our co-organizers, Ms. Sylvia Lobo. Unfortunately, she's not available today due to some emergencies. She's an integration solution architect at Sierra Group, and I'm glad that Satya Shekhar, who joined this Dubai Meetup group recently as one of the co-organizers, who is a CTO of Infoview Systems. So I'd like to thank these wonderful people for helping grow this group, giving us multiple topics and suggestion bill, giving us the presenters and a lot of things they have done. So with that, I'd like to introduce for today's presenter, Mr. Sadiq Ali, who will be giving a brief introduction on runtime fabric, followed by a demo session. So let's not wait without much delay. So Satya, can you give us more introduce yourself, what you have done, with your mule applications, and can have followed by the Sadiq's introduction, please.
Sure. Thanks, Raja. And it's really very nice to work with all the Dubai community. It's a Dubai Meetup group. It's really great. And it was also last time also when we conducted this meetup in Dubai. It was a really very successful meetup. And thanks for that. About myself, my name is Satya Shekhar Das Mandal, and I am the meetup group leader for Riyadh as well, and currently for Dubai as well. So I have many meetup group. I have conducted many sessions, and currently I'm working with Infoview Systems as a CTO. About the mule, I'm using mule from pretty long time. It's almost more than 12 years. I started working with mule when MuleSoft was MuleSource, and it's really a great technology, and definitely as per the current scenario, it's one of the top leader in the same kind of area as per the Gartner report. So that's all about me. Now Sadiq.
Thanks, Satya. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, thanks Satya, Raja, and Sylvia to provide the opportunity to speak in Dubai Meetup. It's really honor for me, and thanks a lot. About myself, I am a solution and integration architect in Kiltadeb Solutions. I have almost 15 years experience in working with multiple ESB and integrations. About MuleSoft, I am working almost 7+ years in MuleSoft. When I started very early, Mule version 3.1 or 2, something like that, near about. And it was not stable at that point of time. Completely XML and Java code we have to write down to transform or manipulate the processes while working with MuleSoft. Now it's quite stable. Since last 2 years, we are seeing that it's quite stable now and is growing very fast. after acquiring by Salesforce, we see that it's growing faster than before. Okay. That's me. Can we start, Satya?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, before we start, let me tell you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, that due to limited time, let's have the demo session and presentation from Sadik. In the end, we will park all the questions and Q&A so that nothing will be missed out for today on today's topic. All right? But definitely, if you have any questions, please type in the chat box and we will be capturing it. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay. Starting now. Let's talking about the runtime fabric. Although we are working with MuleSoft platform, that's it's being as a Anypoint platform. It's cloud-based based platforms, but it's always going to be preferable and recommended solution from MuleSoft for their customers. And it's also we are receiving a recommendation from MuleSoft as to recommend the platform to customer, like it's have proper security and infrastructure. It's ready to use, like we call is iPaaS, completely iPaaS. It can provide all the facility, deployment, security, monitoring, and any kind of integrations capability we can do, and we can use all capability for integration in the same place. But for few customers, we see that they prefer to have their platform on their premises or their own managed platform, either cloud that's private cloud or their public managed their own public managed cloud or their own internal premises. So that's MuleSoft has introduced last year almost this runtime fabric that's providing that enhancing the capability what we have. We call that the naked MuleSoft Mule runtimes, which we are deploying in our on-premises and managing through the cloud control plane. The process is the same, but the difficulty is that in naked Mule runtime is that we have to manage and we have to monitor, we have to scale, we have to prepare the third-party tools or any external tools to provide the capability to enhance the capacity of the naked MuleSoft runtime which we are deploying on premises. To overcome that headache from the customer and providing that extra last mile security that they had came up with the runtime fabric. Runtime fabric is providing the capability of what we have in right now on Cloud Hub, that every application, every APIs that we can deploy as a separate or individual entity. The same thing its capability is there in runtime fabric. The runtime fabric, it's managed by the Kubernetes and all the some external tools like Docker and it's that manages the cluster, and Kubernetes and like Ingress they are providing to manage the cluster and implementing the policies and security for the API or applications what we have going to deploy in the runtime fabric. Okay, so runtime fabric is it can be deployed any cloud-based platform that's managed by the customer or their own organization internal platform that even private cloud or configured VMs that can be used to install runtime fabric or configure in their on-premises. Okay. This, as I stated earlier, that in naked Mule runtimes that we are controlling our Anypoint runtimes which we are deploying our on-premises through the control plane in Cloud Hub. That's runtime manager or Anypoint API manager to configure the policies, and definitely there is some drawback which is covered by runtime fabric, and introduces the capability into it. Okay. So as I stated earlier, that it provides the capability as we can manage our platform or applications on any point runtime, or the Cloud Hub, that we can deploy a individual application as a separate entity or isolated from the other applications, that they are not going to impact the resources that needed for the other application, or it can be easily scaled through the control plan. You can increase the memory, increase CPU, core. We can based on the requirement or the performance of the application or integrations. Okay, the same capability what we have in Anypoint Cloud Hub, that we can deploy multiple version of the runtimes based on the applications. So that same capability is provided by the runtime fabric as well. Okay, scaling application across multiple replicas, that definitely we can add more node that can be done by the control plane. Um, I think someone, the voice is
Voice
really
is
echoing.
echoing actually. Could you please
Yeah.
mute yourself? Let me check if I can mute.
Okay, so talking about the scaling application, that can nodes can be added, and memory or CPU and the resources which can be extended the horizontal and vertical both side. Okay, and there is your automation application failover. The point is here that runtime fabric is providing capability, taking care with the help of Ingress and its a tool. They are managing the cluster or the cluster-based deployment. If we are deploying any application more than one node, then if any node fails, then the cluster will create another another deployment for the application based on the what we have configured in Cloud Hub control plane. I'll show you in my demo for a better explanation. Automated runtime update. It's the capability like the regular releases and the fixes coming into the runtime fabric. As I have seen last 3 days, I have received 2 updates from runtime fabric that continuously upgrading and enhancing their capability. So you can, that upgrade we can do through the control plane itself. Okay. The application management with Anypoint Runtime Manager, I have saying that all the application deployment we can do from Anypoint Runtime Manager is, as well, along with the their Maven based the execution, or the API manager or Anypoint Runtime Manager APIs that can help us to deploy the application from your CI/CD process, or your any another process which we are have in your company, that help us to deploy the application on runtime fabric. Here we can see the difference from other deployments. Okay, and we can see the hosted RTF, like on premises and private cloud. Okay, that can host on premises, or their on private cloud, or a customer managed environment. Okay, on the standalone MuleSoft the same, but definitely it has some limitations, and like we have to monitor, we have to take care all the process what we have for standalone. But Cloud Hub, definitely we have Cloud Hub. We can deploy on cloud and that we can host on a cloud-based MuleSoft provided cloud-based platform. And you can see that infra is like infra provided by the customer, and in the Cloud Hub we have MuleSoft managed plane, that we can use the EU and US based control plane. And right now as we see that government cloud is not supported as of now, and they have their the product plan, and maybe end of this year, or early first quarter of next year they're going to release it. Okay. Mule runtime, that it's as I stated, that is the containerized platform that which helps to isolate the in deployments and for each application, and acquiring the resources which is needed for based on the configuration what we are providing in control plane in any point platform. Okay, so going to the setup that MuleSoft, it is not required you provide any kind of runtime manager or runtime configuration. Everything is bundled into the scripts or the steps that's provided. Those are going to execute and download all the required or configured based on the standard deployment, which we can see in Cloud Hub itself. So as we are doing in standalone, we are definitely manipulating the configuration and doing the changes in our deployment to accommodate our platform capacity or integration performances. That is not required to do or not recommended in RTF. Definitely, that's configuration steps are there, but it's recommended by MuleSoft that should not touch the configuration. Definitely enhancing scaling the platform. That can be done through the script or the control plane, but it's definitely have to calculate all these points. I'll come to in later stage of this demo how to calculate our sizing the platform while planning for deployed application on RTF or setting the platform RTF platform for deployment of integration or deployments. Okay. Elasticity is that it's very high, as we know that in Cloud Hub environment, the MuleSoft is providing the high availability of the platform integrations based on the shared load balancer or private load balancer based on our requirements. The same thing we can see in runtime fabric, that we can deploy multiple instances of the controller or worker to handle the request. And controller is have responsibility in any point runtime fabric that manages the availability of the worker and their resources. If any worker goes down, then the controller, with the help of Ingress or Edge tool, they are creating, destroying and creating another containerized or Docker containerized deployments that helps to manage the cluster-based deployments. Okay, I'll show you in my demo how they are managing and destroying the containerized deployments in runtime fabric. Instead of standalone MuleSoft, like we call it naked runtime. To maintain the high availability of based on this deployment, we have to either we have to monitor continuously. We configure the alerts, exception handling, or many points we have to take care to manage the high availability of the platform, or we have to use the external tools to monitor our deployments whenever we have our deployment. This is for the naked runtime. But in RTF, it is being taken care by the controller Ingress Edge tool that are taking care of the high availability of the deployments. To whom we should recommend? Definitely, it cannot be recommended in any every customer that comes with the requirements. We have seen the financial institutions, or we can see the retailers. They don't want to have their data deployments on the cloud, as if the connectivity goes bad or something goes wrong on their zone, then they are not going to have access of the platform. So they prefer to have the application deployment or their data center, and along with that, you can see the financial institutions, or they have regulatory compliance that need to follow to have maximum information on their own premises instead of cloud hub or any other cloud. Okay, and to recommend runtime fabric to the any customer, minimum 6 servers are required. In coming slides, I will explain why 6 servers being stated here.
Sadek, sorry to interrupt. We can't see the presentation. Can you please share again?
It is not visual?
No. Satya, can you? Okay, fine.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me stop and share again. I'm not sure. You can see now?
Yes, we can see. Yeah.
Okay. I think there is okay. So we there is disturbance.
What? Okay, just a minute. Let me check who is not in mute. I'll mute. Everyone is mute. Yeah, now it's fine. I think. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Satya. Okay. Can the second point is that it's required minimum 6 servers.
There's some disturbance, but everyone is mute.
Thanks, Satya. Okay. Can I go ahead?
Please. Yeah.
Okay. Here, as recommended to have 6 server at least to deploy or to recommend to this infrastructure to the customer. That because to have high availability and to fulfill the cluster capacity on the platform. Okay, and there's some disturbance. Okay. Okay. Do not want to have the deployment AWS. Definitely, we have seen few specific zones customer. If I talk about, they're not recommended to deploy their platform AWS. Definitely, they are asking their cloud foundry deployment, which MuleSoft has. Either or they okay to deploy go with the runtime fabric. So definitely, we are recommended that having that runtime fabric, it's reduce their overhead to monitor the platform and deploy and scaling and providing the all capability to have the better security and infrastructure management while using and deploying the runtime fabric on their control environment. Okay. So these are 3 findings we have as of now. Definitely there are another recommendation as well based on the scenario or the customer. But these are the major 3 points we have found while studying or working on the runtime fabric. Okay. The benefits, as in earlier comparison in the deployments, we have seen that increased reliability through isolation between the application horizontal scaling, that the applications are being deployed and containerized deployment that is not sharing their own resources with the other deployments. Hence, it's the other application outage is not impacting the other application resources, which is which already acquired by the other deployments while using the RTF runtime fabric, and that the API can manage API and deployment can manage the control plane, or we can have our own scripts to deploy through the Maven or Anypoint runtime manager. So all three points we can use to manage or deploy and implement the policy on API which we are deploying in runtime fabric. Okay. Zero downtime, as we have seen in Cloud Hub, that whenever we are deploying the application, until application is not successfully deployed and ready to use, the previous deployment is not destroyed from the MuleSoft or Anypoint Cloud Hub. That same thing is taken care by the Ingress and in the Kubernetes Edge tool, that if we have deployed the application that's a cluster application, and we are a single application, if we are deploying or redeploying and updating the platform or tool, then it will create another container for the new deployment or new changes of the same application. And once it is deployed and container is ready to use and registered in the controller, then after it will divert all the requests to the new deployment, and it will start destroying the older container. Okay, so what it provides that feature or that is help to show that this is completely zero downtime application while using the runtime fabric or deploying in the runtime fabric. Definitely, it had the supporting the Azure, AWS, or VM. Right, currently I'm going to demonstrate on VM itself, my local VM, and definitely other physical servers. We have some requirement to install runtime fabric on physical server or any other server. That number of ports need to be open. The structure of the partition should be recommended by the MuleSoft as per document. So we have to configure the application VM and server. Then we can install it very smoothly. And if the server is created properly and configured based on the requirement, that's no need to interfere from the user or stop anywhere to install the runtime fabric on the provided server. It's all the process is done by the MuleSoft provided script, and it's deployed very easily and smoothly. It takes almost some time. It takes 20 or 30 minutes, but it's depend on your connectivity or internet facility what we have while deploying. Okay. Definitely, it is not required to have any extra tool to manage runtime fabric deployments. It has own capability to maintain and orchestrate the application or runtime based on the requirements. I'll show you in demo in moving forward. Okay.
Okay.
Any question? Okay. So this is the as we have seen many initially we were deploying our naked mules in our on-premises based on customer requirement, and as we move further based on the customer, we are using many external tools, and after that we started using Dockerized platform that are managed by the many side scripts or the many other tools, CI/CD or monitoring platform to monitor our Dockerized platform, where we are deploying our runtime. So we had to find the combination and feasibility to suggest customer or team to use on-premises Dockerized Dockerized platform based on the different kind of CI/CD tools or scripts, customized scripts to prepare the platform or the continue the process in there. But coming to the runtime fabric, it's completely providing the feature that it's all in one place, that you no need to require any external tools or scripts to monitor, to configure, to deploy. in our customer managed platforms or customer managed servers. So it's providing all the capability to monitor, deploy, enhance, scale, and implement the policy or last mile security if required for the platform. For last mile security to implement, we need a secret manager. I do not have that subscription in my trial account, so I'm not able to demonstrate here. But I will share some thought that how we can configure on my demo. Okay. The same thing we can see here that this is the naked deployment that where we had to manage the cluster based platform. We have to configure, and we have to provide maximum capability and resources to the servers to provide cluster capabilities. But here in Runtime Fabric, we can see that all in deployment in Fabric environment, that controller are manage all the cluster-based deployment and all the high availability of the applications which we are deploying in our environment or customer managed platform. So this is the same architecture as I was demonstrated here. As I stated earlier, that minimum six servers is required to configure, recommended to install Runtime Fabric, but definitely it's not required if we do not have that server. It's required for the production, but for the development environment or staging environment, definitely it's not required based on what customer has with them. We can configure that, but to provide the high availability and best capability of the clustering, we need to provide, we need to recommend at least 6 servers. Okay. Why 6 servers is recommending here? That it has the logic here that customer always try to have high availability of of the platform. So if we count here that if one server goes out of service, then two nodes can help to provide the high availability and cluster-based deployment monitoring or leveraging their processes. But if we are using only two controller, if one server goes out of a network or service, then we will have only one server to manage all the requests at a time. So to keep all this scenario in mind, that we always recommend, MuleSoft always recommend to have at least 6 servers to deploy Runtime Fabric on their production environment. There is some limitations for the to deploy the Runtime Fabric on Cloud Hub, a customer managed platform. That until we're not having 6 servers, we cannot associate our Runtime Fabric deployment to the any environment in Cloud Hub. I'll show you in my demo that what it means actually. Okay. So these are the major parts in the Runtime Fabric. You can see Docker, Kubernetes like Docker containerizing the preparing the runtime. Kubernetes is managing the platform and with the help of the Ingress. And there's an internal load balancer, that is the Ingress itself. Whenever we are using a Kubernetized the application with the Docker, that Ingress plays roles as a load balancer, and where we can configure policies or configure the access of the APIs or applications to access out of the Kubernetes platform. So Ingress is the one of the plays very critical role while having the Kubernetized the platform whenever we are deploying our application. Runtime Fabric, Runtime Fabric services will monitor monitoring services and health checkup services. All the some additional services are there. All are had. Whenever we deploy Runtime Fabric, it creates its own pod. like its own containerized based environment where it executes and validate the health of the platform and the deployment monitoring and any kind of alert configured on the platform that need to be executed. Ops Center is that Ops Center is in Runtime Fabric where we can manage, we can check, we can configure alerts, we can find out the logs performance of the platform, what we have configured in Runtime Fabric. Log forwarding. I will explain in my demo. Although I'm not going to demonstrate log forwarding right now, I have not done this thing, but where we can configure, I will share my demo. Okay, containerized mule runtime. That's part of the Docker itself. That it's whenever Docker is create the containerized mule runtime where we deploy our platform or application through the Cloud Hub control plane or CI/CD tools or Maven tool based on our requirements. Okay, so this structure I found here that it's the Runtime Fabric works in this structure while configuring or deploying infrastructure in our customer managed platform. This you can see this is the controller this controller platform, controller server, and this is the we can say this is a node where we are deploying our application. You can see etcd it's managing all the capacity for clustering for the platform and the controller. As we have multiple controller and every controller should like work properly or in which stage that controller or which stage of the platform which we have right now or deploying application. So it manages all the cluster capacity and status of the clustering whenever we are configuring in Runtime Fabric. And Kube Scheduler, it's health checkup, and Kube API servers, it's managing. I'll explain you how we can check this in our Runtime Fabric. And this is the cloud controller and cloud control manager. All is like available in but server which we are preparing in Runtime Fabric. Okay. Here there is a structure or recommendations from MuleSoft that or we have restrictions to have at least 2 worker VM and 1 controller to use Runtime Fabric and associate to the Cloud Hub control plane. Here you can see that at least 2 core each minimum, at least 2 core need to be there, and controller should have at least 8 GB memory. Okay, and all the configurable 80 GB, 60 GB, 100 GB need to be there in controller server to install controller. Definitely, while we are installing the server controller, it validate that required resources are available or not. If it is not available, it will not configure controller on the provided server. It is not using complete provided resources, but it always validate that the server is being configured as a controller should have all the required minimum requirements. Definitely, we can have more than that, but not less than that. Okay, and the same thing with the VM with the worker. We can see that 15 GB memory at least and 80 and 100 GB dedicated disk need to be configured. It should not be configured, should not be mounted, but it should be provided and left as a raw to use by the Runtime Fabric scripts to configure and deploy while installing the Runtime Fabric or adding this server as a worker. I will in demonstration I will show you logs. Definitely I cannot do right now because it takes almost 20 minutes and it will take all our demo time. but I will show you the logs because which I have done exactly 1 hour before, and you can check the logs how it works. Okay, so this is the production. As I stated that it is required the at least 6 servers while configuring the Runtime Fabric on in production environment. As I already explained that why 6 servers is required. It's if any server goes out of network or out of services, then 2 servers should be available to provide the best services or high availability of the platform. As a okay, so and at least 3 VM need to be there. As based on that, if 1 VM goes out of network, then 2 VM should be available to perform a better response time or better response to the request. Okay. Here you can see that max is 25, but as we have seen that we are deploying more than 20 services, and application completely the platform completely working fine. But definitely we have to validate our services which we are their executions, memories. They are using the memories and resources in the platform. But definitely it's recommended, but we can use more than 20 or like near about 25. We have seen that 25, even 25 is working fine. But definitely it's based on the resources and the capability we have in our integration. Okay. And maximum capacity that MuleSoft is providing, that we can use maximum 6 controller. Okay, that if we can configure maximum 5 controller, because that MuleSoft always recommend to have the numbers that have better capability to support the cluster-based environment or deployments. Okay. So let's go to the demo, and let me share my screen. See, you can see this is Runtime Fabric. I just configured almost around before. What steps we have to follow? Just go over here and check demo test. This is provided by the resources which we can configure in our deployment. Here you can download the zip file. Okay, that has all the bundle scripts, and this is the activation code which can be used once while deployment. After deploying this application, this fabric, this activation code will be expired. Okay, let me show you that how it has been deployed. This is the controller. If you can see that I have using 2 worker right now. Let me check this thing. So you can see this is the controller. Let me. Once you will download scripts from here, you can see the scripts. You can see. Let me say this. The controller, you can see that this script will be downloaded from there. I have extracted this script over here, so you can use the wherever you want to deploy, AWS, Azure, and this is manual right now. Definitely, it will support GCP as well, that's not required to have any additional scripts. You can use the manual, or you can Azure. You can customize these scripts, and you can deploy in GCP as well. Okay. So right now I am using manual because I'm using my local VM, and this VM is configured over here. You can see the worker 2 and the worker 1. Okay. So these VMs I have configured here. Let me show you that. The scripts. This is the script generate config.sh, and few things we need to take care over here. We have to provide the controller IP, which node you want to configure as a controller, which is going to manage your workers. This is my worker IP. This is my internal IP. This is the activation code. As I stated earlier that this activation code you need to configure in the general config.sh file if you are going to be deploying in your local environment. The same property is available in other deployment as well, AWS, Azure, or GCP, or any other Oracle server. You have to use the same configuration in your script. And this is the MuleSoft license. This is your organization license you need to configure over here. That's the bit64 format. You have to change your license data in the bit64, and you have to configure over here. Apart from that, if you see that I have provided that etc all the configuration in my server, and I have configured based on the requirements. That 100 GB, 100 GB. Definitely it's not required, but I have provided here 100 GB, 100 GB. You can see that I have already configured. There's this CD. So you can see that the CDC, and there is a this already I have configured, and it's because it's to install this runtime fabric, we have to provide the infrastructure which is recommended by MuleSoft or restricted by MuleSoft. Okay. After that, I have executed the I have executed scripts, and you can see that the execution of this script, once I have done, I have got the output for the scripts. You can see these are the scripts which has been provided. This has been generated by the general config sh file. This command we have to execute on particular servers, and to configure as a controller. This is going to work as a leader, and this will going to work as a worker node. Okay, so as I said, in two, if you see in my configuration here, 2 worker node I have configured over here. Definitely you can add more. Okay, but right now I'm using 2 only. Okay. Then I have copied all this and executed on the same server, because this is going to be my controller. Okay, and then I have to go to the this location, and I have to let me go to this location, and in this location you will find only env file. That env file is created by the scripts, and that configure all the environment variables which we require to install runtime fabric and create this one as a controller. Okay, you can see that the scripts which is executing and creating the env and or preparing or configuring all the properties which is required for runtime fabric. Okay. And same thing, you can see that I executed all these scripts on the respective nodes to configure or install runtime fabric and add them as a node in the cluster or in the controller. Okay, these are the server. Okay, these are the servers I have executed. Let me explain you where you can see the logs. This is a node. Once you execute this command, this is the only command you have to execute to install runtime fabric. But be sure that all recommendation configuration need to be there. Otherwise, you will see that n number times of fail while executing the command. Okay. Once if you have configured everything, it will install the application runtime fabric without any headache or any interruption while execution. Okay, so logs you can see the logs wherever you install logs, you can check. Logs is from this location. Okay, you can find everything over there. Like I have just executed a few moments back, and you can see the all steps what's being executed that is required upon configuration and enablement, and you can see that all it's being deployed. One thing is there, whenever we are deploying in controller, the one section you have to take care. The section is change the over here in the password. Okay, so you can see the what operations have been done. So this can be performed the audit logs, what is being done, deploying the application or configuring, deleting the server, adding the server, like that. Okay, and you can see the logs. You can find the logs and everything what we have in your configuration. You can see the pods, but you have to find the pods, like which pods you want to check. Like if you deploy the application, that Kubernetes capabilities is create a pod for each deployment based on the configuration. So you have to enter the pod and you can find the logs over here. Monitoring, if you check the monitoring, you can check all the server monitoring with what the stage of the server, how it's working in, what is the behavior and how much space they are buying right now, based on the nodes. Okay, and same thing if the application is multiple application is deployed over, so you will see another tab here to select the application. If you select the node only, you will see all the application whatever deployed in this node. And if you want to check specific application, you will get another drop down over here to select which application you want to check. You can select and you can see the behavior of the application over here. Okay, definitely you have all the logs which is required. It can be configured, but it's have the YML file and it can be configured. But it's not recommended by Microsoft to change anything in your platform. Definitely, based on the requirement, you can do, or you can perform the log forwarding. You can forward the logs and you can keep the logs somewhere else in your analytic tool for future use. Okay. And going to the Kubernetes, that what nodes are available right now. You can see that's the we have the controller nodes. Right, this one 40, and we can see the 30, 38 and 34, which is working as a node for us. Okay, the pod right now we do not have any pod, okay, because we have not created any pod, but definitely you can find that RTF, because RTF works take care some properties like clustering services. I have explained as in that it's validate all the platform, it's check all the health and configuration. It's should be working and available for the fabric. So it's work and check rest all the pods is created for them. Agent is it's has responsibility to communicate with the anypoint control plane, but rest of them are to validate the resources and cluster status and memory that available in the platform. So definitely all these things there, you can see that Ingress is responsible for the configuring the policies or managing the request high availability and request distribution for the based on the availability of the resources. And this is the deployment what we have deployed. As you can see, an hour before I have just configured this platform for demo purpose. Okay. Another thing over here. So moving to that, if you want to destroy your runtime fabric, just go and click over there, and it will be deleted from there. Okay, that's a simple thing, and then you can destroy your VM. Okay. Okay. Now let's deploy the application in runtime fabric. Before deploying, I need to add a couple of things over here. You can see I have not associated any in any environment. Okay. The point is here, as in presentation we have recommended that you need at least three one controller and two worker to associate in the development configuration development environment. Okay. This is sandbox. This is my development environment. I cannot associate my server if I do not have this capability in my runtime installation or infrastructure. At least two node and one controller. You have more than one controller if required, but it's a non-production environment, so not required to have occupied multiple server, but it's based on understanding. Okay. And so let's go and associate with the sandbox. Okay. The one major thing we have found, we have seen, and we have gone through that runtime fabric can share with the multiple business group. If I have a business group in my runtime fabric, my platform in Cloud Hub, master and organization A and organization B. If I associate it with organization B, organization A will not able to access any of my resources what I have configured in runtime fabric. The same thing if I associate my runtime fabric with business group A, then B will not be able to access my any resource. But if I associate my runtime fabric to master business group or master business group setup here, then I can allocate different business group to access amount of resources if what I have I am deploying configuring in my runtime fabric. That's the major benefit we have found while deploying runtime fabric in or provide implementing with the customer, that their monitoring team, the LOB team, they want to have their own resources to perform their own operation. Definitely, we can associate their business group to the this runtime fabric, and they can use based on the availability in the master business group. Okay, and here is the inbound traffic. Inbound traffic is the capability where we allow to requests can go through from and reach to the Anypoint Runtime Fabric and deployed application. Until that we are not configured, it will not be able to access the server, the deployed server, their URL from anywhere. Okay. So to enabling this, we have to enable over here. Definitely, it takes some configuration because it goes to the ingress. It's configured into the ingress, and ingress is the part of the edge security in MuleSoft. That is managed by the edge security, and that leverages the capability of the Anypoint platform. Definitely, I do not have secret manager. I have demonstrated here. You can see that I have enabled that, and now I have to associate. The JKS or any security file certificates to enable request to reaching to the deployed application. Okay, let me go and select the test application, and you can see the status over here. You can see these are the pods as we created in our configured or installed runtime fabric. I'll explain you this one in later stage, but you can see just check that what pod is being created and which is being deployed over here. Okay. Let me go and see, let it deploy. It's kind of time taken activity. Until it's being deployed, if anyone have any question, you can ask me from here.
Anybody have any questions? Please shoot it out to Mr. Sadiq.
What limitations that you saw with runtime fabric? Do you see any challenges?
Challenges are, we have seen a couple of changes that cluster of, if cluster services is being destroyed, it cannot be recovered, and we have to scrap our complete RTF. And it is not issue with the runtime fabric, and it's the issue with the Red Hat. Mostly we have deployed the application on Red Hat. They have provided OS to us, Red Hat servers. The problem is that Red Hat 8 is not supporting cluster mechanism or cluster services provided by the runtime fabric. Second thing, if the 7 version like 7.6 or 7.8 something Red Hat, whenever we are deploying, its cache is being destroyed very frequently. Main thing is that we have to take care. The server health. Server health should be fine, and required resources should be allocated to the platform. If the required resources allocated to platform, and somehow the required resources occupied by other resources, then the complete runtime fabric will be kind of mess. So it's like prepare the infrastructure, deploy it, and forget it. There's no another interaction need to be there while managing the platform. Apart from that, we have some restriction for the applications to use kind of connectors, kind of like object store not supporting in runtime fabric, and you know that is being containerized application, and whenever we are deploying, container is being destroyed and created, so the object store being deployed. V2 definitely is not supporting here. So we are managing either some kind of external cache or cache-based services, database or something else, and apart from that, as same Cloud Hub file connector we cannot use there. We have to use a SFTP FTP connector to manage that, and restriction. Apart from that, we need to while working with that, we need to take care that if we are deploying application, and application should allocate a proper memory. Like if we are allocating memory as extra memory to the services, then it's following the best practice and not available for the other configurations or availability of the other resources. But major things, if I found any troubleshooting, if you are asking what issues, we have not found till now. Even log forwarding, if you see that log forwarding completely 100% working fine, and we are using Splunk and Elasticsearch right now, and it's being forwarded, and it's very smooth. So, and asking about the logs, what logs in the runtime fabric, like the application always create its own logs. So we have to MuleSoft providing the runtime fabric services, providing the scripts that need to execute on controller, and controller keep rolling logs of the services or a container where application has been deployed, or services which is running in runtime fabric. Apart from that, we have not found any kind of restriction, limitations right now, working on that. But we have to use external load balancer to manage our controller if this is more than one controller. That's the only limitation we have.
Yeah, hi. Actually, as you told, means we should not use file connector. So, is it restricted? We can't use, or we will not use, since we will when we will restart container, we will lose all data.
Two things here. You cannot place your file in. You don't want to place your file on temporary containerized environment, right? Because whenever you are updating application, your container is going to anyway going to destroy, or new container going to be created. As same in Cloud Hub. Okay. So as this is one thing. Second thing, you cannot communicate. You cannot pick the file application from outside of the RTF. You have to use the SFTP or FTP connector. That's the restriction we have in runtime fabric. Okay.
Okay. So can you tell me what kind of business scenario we will have? So we will select this kind of deployment model.
Sure. Let me complete this demo, and definitely I think we have time. But the scenario is that, as I told earlier, that to whom we should recommend. Okay. If I talk about, let's talk about the financial institutions. Definitely, they are not going, not satisfying with their deployment on cloud-based setup. Most of the regulatory or compliance always ask them to keep their maximum data on their own controlled platform or environment. So and they cannot expose they cannot expose their services to the outer world, out of their network. So they prefer to deploy this application on their on-premises. If you have seen that naked mule runtime deployment we use to access on-premises services, which we cannot expose to outer world. If I say that security management data, we don't want to expose to outer world. If any external tool want to access our data, they have to integrate with our internal services, and our internal services will access to the security services, security data, or security configurations, whatever. Then, so to follow compliance and restricting to expose their own resources to the public, they customers are recommend to opting the kind of solution that has that can deploy on their managed platform, or they can that can be managed by customer itself, or the application should be deployed there in on platform and can be managed on cloud. But the integration that their own system should not be exposed to the outer world through the internet or to the external integrations. Okay, so there's many scenarios in that retailer don't want to have their services on cloud because they have their own internal infrastructure to access the platform through VPN, to the IP security, many things. So they want to have the platform over in their environment. If internet goes off or something, or some go out of network, then their own services are available to access their platform, and their business will continue. So it is a business requirement that you want to expose your data to internet and outer world, and you want to integrate your own system with your own deployed application, instead of the application is deployed on Cloud Hub or in cloud somewhere, and they are accessing your internal data. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. There is many scenarios. There is no limitations about that. Definitely. Like discussing with customer, understanding their requirement, you'll understand more. Okay. And now everything is configured, and you can. Okay. Let me demonstrate here. Okay. Let me go to the deployment. Although I have deployed many applications to deploy in Runtime Fabric through Maven. Let me explain you that, but I'm not going to deploy through Anypoint Runtime or Anypoint Studio, but it takes extended time, and maybe like 10 minutes sometime, because my resources are not sufficient right now. Yeah, but let me explain you that how it works. This just give me just a minute. It's okay. You can see this is the plugin. This plugin is required to configure your application on Cloud Hub. Okay, all the username, password you can provide over here, and this is the URL from where you are going to access your application. The CPU which you want to allocate to deployment. Okay, this is the fabric name, which is you have over here. This is the fabric name. Right now we have Dubai Meetup, that can be configured Dubai Meetup. Where you want to deploy, we want to deploy in sandbox, username, password, application name. Okay, and this is the group ID. Okay, so everything need to be configured up, and distribution section has to be configured over here. As the one limitations we have in our Maven right now, that in the deploying application runtime fabric, these application need to publish on Exchange first, then we can deploy from there. This is the two steps. We can either we can publish on Exchange, and then we can deploy manually, or MuleSoft is providing, or we can configure the Maven scripts that providing the steps to perform through maven command. Okay, like we can one command we can execute to publish application on the exchange, and another command we can execute to deploy application from exchange to the runtime fabric. Although that demo I'm not going to do here because this take extended time, and because resource condition with me right now. Okay, so right now deploying application, yeah, I have selected my runtime fabric. Okay, and I am going to get any sample one. Hello world. This is the sample one over there. To like 4.1. Okay. World. Okay. So let's see what is that. Okay. This is runtime version. You can change. As I stated earlier, multiple version runtime application can be deployed in Fabric based on the requirement. Okay. And apart from that, you can see the ingress where it's configured the URL or the policies. You can see the last mile security. I'm not enabling right now because I do not have the secret manager to demonstrate this thing. But you know that enabling last mile security is to providing security to your setup, runtime fabric setup, to avoid maximum restricting the user to occupying resources like more than we can limiting the HTTP request, WAF security, and other policy we can implement using the last mile security. Whenever you have last mile security, you will see that how to configure. But right now I'm not demonstrating as I do not have subscription for that. Okay. And you can see the property, the same property which we use in our runtime manager. Okay, we can configure over there, and we can use in our application as a configuration. JVM you can configure that. Log forwarding, you can enable log forwarding based on the configuration on the runtime fabric. I'm not doing right now, so I'm not enabling. Once you enable here, then it will be enabled here over here. Well, I have not enabled in the fabric, so we cannot see the facility to enable over here. Okay, I hope log forwarding. I have claimed log forwarding. Okay, now let's go and deploy. First of all, let me show you that controller. This is the ingress right now. You can see the Kubernetes. These pods are there. Let me deploy application and we'll check that what is happening over here. Right now I'm deploying a replica 1 only. Okay. Let's go and deploy and reserve memory, reserve CPU and memory. The point is here. I want to mention that reserve and memory is the CPU we are providing, that whenever we are deploying, it's allocate the application, and based on the performance, it will go to the limit, or we can extend the limit on our configuration. Okay. Memory we can assign over here. Minimum is the standard. Previously it was 0.5. Now they have increased to 0.7 is the default one. Okay. When last year it was 0.5. Now it's 0.7. Replica 1. Okay. And one more thing. We cannot have apart from 8081 or 8082 port in our runtime fabric. Like in our deployment, if we talk about in our other deployments that we want to change the port. Okay, we want to change the port to secure our system APIs or process APIs that cannot be accessed through anywhere from any platform. So we keep secret of the port, but here we cannot change the port, and restricted by the MuleSoft, we can use only 8082 port over here. Even if a customer want to access to 8081, it will divert it to 8082 internally, and it will, then you can access to 8082 only. So the port restriction is there, And whenever you are going to deploy application, that the host should be 0.0.0.0 some configured in your listener to access the platform. We cannot provide any other IP and configuration apart from 4.0 in our host. Okay. So now let's go and deploy. I started deploying over there, and you can see that you can go. You can check the status from here. This is the one place. Okay, this is being deployed. Second thing, you go to the controller, and you can just click. You can see the initiated. You can see the Hello application. This is pod has been initiated to create. They are creating a pod to deploy the application. Okay. It will take a couple of moments. Just hold for me. See the pod initiation started. You can see the previously it was initiated. Now it is pod initialization started. Okay. So now pod creation is started. Just wait for some time. You can see this is already pod initialization is started here.
A question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Sridhar, by the way. When you showed that ingress component, right, in the while you deploy the application.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you had a reference to CloudHub.io. So I kind of missed the point. What is the purpose of CloudHub here?
Oh no, this is the just URL. I mentioned that you can change anything, any URL. Okay, this URL. I have created the certificate for this URL. Okay, whenever you are going to create a certificate, you have to provide the URL to access the services. I have created for this URL. You can change the .com, .in, something like that, but that need to be mapped with your DNS or load balancer, whatever you are configuring. Okay, because this is the internal only. Your application, you cannot access your application through the IP. Okay, the application which we are deploying in Runtime Fabric, you cannot access through the IP. You have to configure your in Ingress. You have to provide the security certificates to access your services, and that services, like you can see that I have created this to provide you can access whatever application you're going to deploy. You can access the application test app.cloudup.io.hello words. Anything you can work. Okay.
So basically that is just the namespace that you have given for this application.
Yeah.
So it's really nothing related to the Cloud Hub. It's just the namespace of the application that is going to be deployed internally on the Kubernetes. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. And second thing is this runtime. That whatever you're using in this runtime Anypoint platform, right, as a hybrid model, it is just connecting to the internal Kubernetes environment and doing the deployments of services onto the pods and creating pods.
Right.
So even the ingress also or all the configuration that you have is just changing your local Kubernetes configuration, right?
Right. Exactly. That's why whenever we are installing Runtime Fabric, those scripts restrict us to available to provide the required resources. Then it will install, and then once we deploy that application, then our deployment Runtime Fabric infrastructure will acquire those resources to create pod or configure ingress or policies to access those resources.
Correct. So understood. So one last question here. So we have Ops Center also to manage and configure and have some control, right, over the environment. But we also have the runtime the control plane. which is also doing the deployment and also doing some configuration on ingress. So what is there a line? Can we do everything with Ops Center, or should we do some things with the runtime manager?
Something you can do, like you have APIs, right? Like APIs, you want to implement policies like client ID secret or any auth policies that need to be taken care by your Anypoint platform, and you have to deploy the application, everything, API, designing the API, implementing the policies and deploying. But deploying application would be the runtime fabric provided infrastructure. Apart from that, if you're talking about the runtime fabric, the checking the logs, monitoring and configuring the alerts, everything you need to done by the your this Ops Center only. That cannot be done for runtime fabric.
So basically, deployment cannot be done using Ops Center.
No, deployment cannot be done using Ops Center. This is the only one way to deploy your application. You can use the Maven, you can use the CI/CD, like definitely CI/CD process through Maven, or you can use the Anypoint Runtime Manager APIs to deploy your application to the runtime fabric. Okay.
And what is the we can a very overall question. So instead of using runtime fabric, the customer can install Kubernetes locally by himself, right? And have Mule running. What would be the big benefit of using RTF against that?
See, definitely, because like installing the Kubernetes and managing by yourself, it's kind of headache. And second thing, we need to have some expertise in the Kubernetes, installing Kubernetes and managing the Kubernetes infrastructure on the cloud environment. We were using before that when customer were asking about the containerized platform in their development environments or staging environment. Definitely production we are using Cloud. But the runtime fabric, we have seen the capability that is not minimum knowledge of the cloud, like the Linux or Kubernetes or commands. Linux commands are enough to manage this platform. There's not required expertise for Kubernetes or Docker tools to manage the platform. Previously, we are finding that that cluster capability is not working in Kubernetes, or in Ingress. If we have Ingress in Kubernetes platform, we have to configure manually, and it was giving lots of pain point to us that if anything goes wrong, then nothing will work on in terms of the application or infrastructure. But here is that everything is quite as a setup, and we don't need to interfere with the platform. We just have the UI or control plane that we can manage the platform through the interface only, instead of working as a command developer or a support person to validate all the configuration of the setup. So it's a hand-free kind of tool that we can use. Yeah.
Right. And last one, in order to manage the policies, do we need Istio as to be manually installed, or will the runtime fabric installation takes care of Istio?
Yeah, runtime will take care inside. So.
Okay, so basically there will be Istio, right, in order to manage policies. Okay.
Right. English is part of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
So okay, so I have deployed the application. You can see it is up and running now, right? Initially it was pod initializing stage, and now it's running now. Okay, and you can see that Ops Center. You can go to the Ops Center. You can see go to Kubernetes. You want to check the pods, you just go over here. Let me check the pods. It's not showing here right now. Yeah, it's really here. You can see the application is deployed over here. You can find the logs. You can check the logs of the application deployed over here. Okay, Definitely, many users, many customers has requested us to check the logs through the command prompt instead of checking from the op center. Definitely, for that, the user has to go to the pod. The pod is created, and they can find the pod on the server, and they can go to the same /opt/mule, and then they can find the logs in that pod itself. So it can be done. It's not restricting any user, but here is providing the infrastructure. You can use access logs through here directly instead of having any command. So that's the benefit we have, that to manage this platform, it's not required to have expertise in Linux or any external tool. You have interface to manage or to review the platform over here. That's the benefit. Otherwise, definitely you have every option is open to go to the manually to find out the logs on this server.
Namaskar.
But as a LOB person, they are not very much expertise into that. They want to have all the validated by themselves. So for them, this kind of interface is provided by the runtime family. Okay. Now access the platform application. Let me go because this is a local deployment, so we have to configure in first. Let me go 20. You can see any changes I am doing here. You can see the previous pod will be deployed. Like you can see the another pod being created, and you can once it will be ready to use, you can see this pod will be destroyed by the Kubernetes. Status is being changed now. It happens with the cluster as well. If we deploy the clusterized application, whenever we are performing a change, based on the change, it will destroy the previous one and create new one. Before destroying it, it will make sure the new one should be ready and ready to use.
So when we deploy an application, will it be deployed in both the nodes?
Yes. Yeah. I will demonstrate here. I'll go on my own. It's a very time-taking task though. I'm demonstrating very less amount of capabilities. It has a extended amount of capabilities what we have in Cloud Hub, but I cannot demonstrate it because of the time limitations. I think it will take a couple of minutes. If any question is there, you can let me know.
one more question. Application of policies on the APIs deployed to this runtime fabric, right? Basically, internally they are into Kubernetes. So we need to have the API manager and apply the policies, right, on each of these APIs inside the Anypoint platform. Now, so the question here is, let's say one of my process APIs, let's say process API A, which is in my Kubernetes local environment, right, wants to call another process API B, correct? It is just an internal call between two process APIs within my client. I don't need to really go to the external or use the ingress component here. So in that case, if in order to have the policies applied, we still need to have the URL which is publicly available, right? Not the local one. And should we still go through that publicly available public URL of that API, or can we just make the call to the local URL of that API and still have the policies?
Yeah, you can use local API, local URL.
And will the policies get applied in that case?
Yes, applied.
Okay. So that in that case, then the agent is agent of the runtime fabric is actually having the policies, embedding the policies just like a local mule runtime.
Right.
That is a one key advantage, I guess, with RTF and without RTF, right? Using Kubernetes. Right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
So like you can see that I have created this API to implement that, but deploying takes time. You can see that I have developed API, that's simple API, and I have provided client ID secret enforcement. If I deploy in runtime fabric, okay, it's ready. Deploy fabric. Here is that I have to provide client ID and secret and API ID, and I can deploy that. And I can access this API through the same URL for the internal URL. Okay. So the policy will be applied in the Anypoint API manager, but that can be implemented on the API, and the application can deploy on the RTF. Okay.
And last thing, RTF is only for the mule applications, right?
Yeah, it's not for non-mule, because RTF will create the runtime, mule runtime. So the mule runtime, it's only
for only mule. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. You can see it's the hello world. Now you can access this URL to access the application. So this is the complete cycle of the deployment. Although I have not demonstrated the policy over here, because it takes amount of time to deploy because of resources I have. But it's a simple process what we are deploying in Cloud Hub, like we have done in Cloud Hub right now. You can see that. This. Okay, oh, sorry, I have deleted this thing. It is not there. Okay, but if we deploy there, and in Cloud Hub, we manage to deploy. We have to configure the client ID secret for the platform and API discovery. So everything we configure in the same way as we are doing Cloud Hub. So this is the runtime fabric, and this can see these are maintaining. What is that actually? These are the maintaining the application version which we are deploying. We are if we are required to roll back, it just has to click and deploy. We have to click and deploy the application of what the previous working stage. So this kind of capability is being provided by the runtime fabric itself. It was not there in. We cannot take care. We have to use the external tool to manage the versions, last deployed version or working version of the platform before changes. So, but we can manage through here on the query interface by the Anypoint platform. Okay, and that's it. And this is the version of the application. It always shows the version of application which we are deployed. So you have seen that this is the version of the application in Exchange. So it shows the version over here. Okay, and Any question? I'll talk about the sizing.
So the minimum requirement is like we need one controller VM and 2 worker VMs, right?
For development environment.
Yeah, for development environment, and with those specifications. And so when we want to create a runtime fabric, we basically download it from Anypoint platform, which is basically a zip file. And where do we unzip it? Like if we unzip it in one of the VMs, say controller VM, how do we link it to the 2 worker nodes? Are there any other configurations to be done?
Yeah, no, not required. See, once you have made your platform, your instances ready for your application, okay, for runtime fabric. Let me show you that over here. This is the worker. This is the worker. Okay. There are many commands to access the platform. You definitely can go and search on Microsoft. They are providing many commands. I have not demonstrated here, but you can find out the alert, configuration, log forwarding, application logs, implemented policy, everything you can find out in your controller. Okay. And on your question, let me go through once again, as I already explained in the earlier. This is a zip file. Okay. You have unzip here, you will get all this folder, all this content over here, AWS, Azure, manual or scripts. Right now I am doing manual. I have gone over here in the manual. You can see this configuration, this file, access file. Just open this file. Let me open here, maybe you can see better. Okay, this is the general.-ss config file. You can see that controller I have configured. This server will work as a controller. Okay, this is just configuration file, nothing else. I have just copied in my controller. It's not required to copy in controller because it's just creating a output. If this bash file is to create only output instead of installing anything. I have mentioned this IP is going to be my controller. And this 2 IP is going to be my worker. You can add more IP. So it's creating a command to create environment variables for your server to start installing your runtime fabric. Okay, so this is the one thing. I have configured this in fine. This activation code, as I explained, you can just create the fabric like. Anything like you can find the activation code over here. Okay, this activation code. Apart from that, this configuration you have to be ready with your platform, and this is the new license. This is the bit 64. Bit 16 like.
And this license is not available. We need to get this license even for trial, right? From
yeah, Microsoft is not providing license. You have to use your organization license.
So either our company's acquired license or it's not available for trial accounts, right? For free.
No, I am using because the organization, my organization had the platinum subscription. So I have this access of license. This license is capable to allow you to install runtime fabric on environment. All licenses are not capable to, like if select license or other license are there, they are not allowed to configure runtime fabric on server.
Sorry, so, my question is like, let's say you're a platinum partner. Do you still need to work out with MuleSoft to have this license, or will you already have that RTF license? It's
come with the subscription. Like you know that if you're going to ask platinum subscription, they are going to give you free.
Okay.
But you need that what capability you want to ask. Like you want 6 server capability, 5 server control license, or 8 server, 16 server worker nodes license, like something like that. Licensing they will configure license in your organization. So whenever you're downloading your license from your organization portal, you will see that that license had the capability to allow you to install Runtime Fabric and configure amount of resources in Runtime Fabric.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving forward. So I have configured over here. Okay. Then after that, I have executed the command this and this. Okay. Only same command I have executed. I got this output. So this is my file. Okay, this is my file. I got the output. So the controller server, I have to execute this, and two workers on the two coordinate workers, I have to execute this command or this scripts to prepare my runtime environment variables to start deploying the application. But this is just creating the environment variables. After doing that, what I have done, like we have to do, we have to copy. You can see this is the same fabric scripts. I have scripts is init.sh that was provided by the mg file. Once you unzip this file, you will get this folder as well. You go over there, okay, and we have to copy this file in all these locations of the servers, like node 1, node 2. I have copied this init.sh file and here as well. Okay, this is my controller node, and you can see my worker node. Okay, once you have copied, you have to go to the server. This is the node, and you can see that node is you have init.sh file. Once you come to init.sh file, you can see only two things: env and init.sh. All this will come once you have installed runtime. You have installed this node associated with Runtime Fabric. So I have to execute this command only. That's it, nothing else. And you have to use the root user for your server to install the Runtime Fabric. None of the other server will have the capability to install Runtime Fabric if you are going to install them. And what is the status of that? As I explained earlier, you can go and you can check in the location. Check over here. You can see the runtime solution is complete. You have we can see that command the runtime. This is the node only. The same place you will find on the controller, on every place where you are installing that fabric. Okay. That's any other question?
Thank you.
Okay. And last point I want to mention before closing my points here. Whenever we are performing the sizing, these are the recommended points shared by the MuleSoft. So I want to share over here. When we are planning or designing Runtime Fabric to deploy our platform, we need to take care of a couple of things. That CPU, the core we are providing to the Runtime Fabric deployed application that can handle. You can see that 10 connection or 15 connection in milliseconds, in single milliseconds. That's one CPU and 0.5 and 0.1 and 0.7. So you have to take care of these points while planning or doing the infrastructure analysis while suggesting the Runtime Fabric. And apart from that, few things you need to take care. That part of the definitely COE or C4E, something like that. It takes if we are defining the one core, it will take 1 minute. If we are defining like 0.07, it takes 10 to 14 minutes. And this is the approximately they are saying, but definitely we have seen that it has started lesser than that, more than maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. But this is the statistics they have shared to us to take care this thing while planning for a platform. Okay, and this is the Ingress. If I talk about the Ingress, what we have in Kubernetes platform, at the Ingress, taking they are taking care, they taking that kind of resources. The amount of resources or memory we are allocating to runtime fabric is not going to exact being used by the application. Few of the memory or resources will be used or occupied by the other services like Ingress, by the RTF services, for the cache, for log forwarding, and many other services are being executed over there or processes the data. So hence, whenever we are planning for size or allocating CPU or memory for that year, we have to calculate that almost 70 or 80% being used and 20% are being used by the other services. So we have to calculate based on that only. Okay. Few things I want to share. Definitely, it's our finding while working with the RTF. We have number of proxy. If we are deploying proxy application, or we are allocating the proxies for the application TPS, the application processes, how much processes they are using, we have to take care while defining or recommending infrastructure priority. Okay. Recovery time objective is that most of the customer have the recovery deployment strategy. Few of them, most of them we have seen work as an active passive, and until there is no business loss, they are not going to active. If like there is a website, if I see the website, they do not have any business loss. They can go to the active and passive mode, and we have two runtime fabric and different infrastructure or different location, and that can be managed through the external load balancer to divert the request of it. And active, passive both can be managed and can be handled by the runtime fabric with the external load balancer. Okay. Bursting application for unallocated CPU, it is bursting location. Like we have to be very sure that any application which can require extra or extended number of resources to access the services. So we have to be sure that the amount of CPU or resources we are having with the runtime fabric or not. If that application is not available, that resource is not available, that application is going to stop or start. It will be restarted automatically by Kubernetes Ingress or EIDS services, or it will be destroyed. Okay. And let me demonstrate. Let me show you that. That's it from my side. One thing I will show that. Okay, I will uninstall the services. You will see that the pod will be destroyed. This is the last statement I want to demonstrate here.
Can I ask one question? Hello?
Yes, sorry.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. See that runtime fabric has introduced the 4.07 minimum vCore, right? So do you think that people are using it and
Sorry? People are using it.
You showed it, right? vCores initially in normal environment only minimum vCore is only 0.1, but if you look at runtime claim that we can start using 0.07. Do you think that really that's useful and people are using it? I know that initial stages of that MuleSoft claimed that we have come up with a very less vCore, but I'm not sure. Really, with that minimum vCore, is it possible to run an application?
See, it's definitely it will run. You can just because you can see my I have deployed one sample application. It's working right. Allocating memory, CPU, everything depends on the strategy what we have in our integration, right? So this is the provided the capability. Like right now, if I talk about, I am using one of the biggest transport organization. I'm working with that. They are taking care. They are using the Runtime Fabric, and there are n number of services, almost 176 APIs they are using. And many APIs are just to get information once in a day, and that just total amount of the vessels or total number of transport vehicles has been released by the organization. So definitely it depends on the integration what you have, but the providing the freedom to the user or the organization to configure based on the requirement. We cannot the infrastructure to provide the customer to occupy maximum resources is not best practice. You have to leverage, you have to facilitate them. They can use minimum resources on their own resources to leverage the capability of the any platform, right? So 0.07 definitely it's not very used, but it's cannot be neglected if because if you have the services which can be neglected, can be run any off time or do not have much data, that can be used in that scenario as well. Definitely, there's no limitations of thinking about that.
Yeah. Because see, that is really very value add, because core is the core driver in cost, right? In MuleSoft. That is right. Yeah. Right. You said API requirement. You can definitely utilize that feature.
All right.
Here there are two things, right? Like the CPU, what we define, and then like limit.
Sorry, are you talking to me?
Yeah, for the same thing. So the application is gone now. Yeah, if you scroll down, so reserved CPU is like 0.02 and CPU limit. Is that for like auto scaling?
Yes, it is called, we say that it's horizontal auto scaling, vertical auto scaling. Okay, it is like we have granted that this much CPU will be available for this application whenever it's required. But minimum, if the services are not running, not being used, so it will 0.02 CPU will be reserved for this application. Okay, like you know that every container have their own JVM and their own processes, so they have to occupy the service the memory for their own uses. So this is the kind of reserve and kind of limit, like what limit you can have for that service, that going to like any if I talk about in Christmas, the services are going to be bursting in the platform, so you can extend the limit on that, like autos vertical scaling you can configure, and it will go to that limit. That limit will be available for them. So the runtime fabric platform responsibility to have this CPU limit reserved for them. Okay, and whenever it's required, they have to hand over to the application. But minimum they will assign to the application. This is the part of the Kubernetes Ingress and Edge tool, the component that will manage inside the Kubernetes platform.
All right, I guess that's it. Definitely we would really happy that you have so many questions coming out, but due to time limitation, we have to end this call at the moment. Definitely, please shoot us your questions to our group and definitely we will share the feedback, and we'll definitely come back to you with the answers to your questions, and if at all, if it is required, we can conduct another session with Sadik. So I really thank Sadik for wonderful session, quite of informative, and it was a very insightful session about Runtime Fabric. Thank you, Sadik. We really appreciate your help and hope to see you again coming up to this meetup group and presenting another session, perhaps on any other MuleSoft topic. We are very happy to have you to this group. And definitely, as I mentioned, please let us know your feedback about the next sessions, or would you like to have the continued session on the Runtime Fabric, or would you like to have a new session? Please give us your suggestions, and if you have any questions also, that will be also welcomed. And really, thanks for your participation, and thanks Satya, and thanks Sadik once again for organizing such a wonderful event. And that's about from us.
Thanks, Sadik. So just a quick for the trivia quiz. Just this is the Kahoot is there. The pin is showing there. So you can just play this game so that we can finalize the winner, and we'll give you the voucher, training voucher.
Perfect.
Not the training voucher, it's a certification voucher. Yeah. So everyone know how to play the Kahoot. So this Kahoot, you need to go to this link and just enter this pin, and then Sadik will start the quiz. It's a like 2 minutes job.
Satya, perhaps can you share the link over the chat so
Yeah.
that our
Sadik, can you share please?
They can get this kahoot.it, this link.
Yeah, perfect.
It's showing in the screen. Yeah.
Also, would you like to share the pin just in case?
Pin is the same 3424285.
Correct. Thanks a lot, guys. Satya, you have anything to say before we wind up the session?
Yeah. So they need to play. We have to tell the winner now. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely, session is very informative and exhausting. Yeah, it's difficult to digest also, right?
Yeah, I understand.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Sadik, thank you so much. This is really, really detailed. Very, very informative.
Yeah, it is more than met expectation. Like, have any 1 out of 5, I need to find a number for this.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sadik.
Thanks, Satya. Thanks.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you. So,
should we wait for 2 minutes, or to let us join anybody, or should we start?
I think we can wait. At least we can declare the winner so that they can send their emails to us.
Should I start the game?
Yeah. Please start. Yeah.
Okay. People are still joining. Okay, I'm starting now.
Yeah. I think. Yeah.
2, 1.
We have 5 people. Let's go. Next is HK is the
winner. So HK, you can send your email ID and the cert.
No. It is 6 questions are there.
Oh, 6 questions. Okay. I thought.
Not so soon. All right.
Okay.
Good one.
Yeah, the HK rehearsal is the Rahul Mehta right now. Let me go to the next question.
Good one, Haider.
I think Heather is running top.
Somnaran.
Come on, last one.
Second last.
Oh, sorry, second last. Back again.
Last question.
The last. Fingers crossed.
Let's see the winner.
Congratulations, Ravi.
Congratulations, Ravi.
Rajiv, congratulations. And Heather? Sonia.
Heather also. Good.
Congratulations, Heather.
Congratulations, all the winners. So
yeah,
please send
definitely we'll have a next meetup too. So
yeah.
whoever didn't get through, next we have another option. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Heather. You can send in your email address or perhaps your details and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sadiq. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Nice session, and we'll see you soon.
Hope you all enjoy the IPL.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.